Hello everyone, myself Kumkum and today I'll be discussing about production technology of Apple. But before starting my presentation, I'd like to thank our course instructor Dr. Prashant Bakshi sir for giving us such an opportunity. Contents that we will be discussing today includes introduction, climate and soil, history of cultivated apples, different varieties of apples, description, planting, irrigation, pruning and thinning, manuring and fertilization, propagation, maturation and harvest, storage, pest and disease, yield and nutrition. The apple tree is a deciduous tree in the rose family, best known for its sweet pumiceous fruit, the apple. Apple trees are deciduous, which means that they lose their leaves each fall and they grow new leaves each spring. It is cultivated worldwide as a fruit tree and is most widely grown species in the genus Malus. The tree originated in Central Asia. Apple trees are largely grown from seed. Generally, apple trees are propagated by grafting onto rootstocks, which control the size of resulting tree. There are more than 75,000 cultivars of apple. The science of apple growing is called pomology. Talking about the climate and soil, so temperature which is required for apple tree ranges from 21 to 24 degrees Celsius, and for fruit setting it ranges from 21.1 to 26.7 degrees Celsius. Rainfall of 100 to 125 centimeter is adequate, and soil pH of 5.5 to 6.5 is adequate. Loamy soils and soils which are rich in organic matter are best suited. As far as the history of cultivated apples is concerned, the center of diversity of genus Malus is in the eastern present-day Turkey. The apple tree was perhaps the earliest tree to be cultivated, and its fruit have been improved through selection over 1,000 years. Apples were introduced to North America by colonists in the 17th century, and first apple orchard on the North American continent was planted in Boston by Reverend William Blackstone in 1625. The only apples native to North America were crab apples, which were once called common apples. In 20th century, irrigation projects in the eastern Washington began and allowed the development of multi-million-dollar fruit industry, of which apple is the leading product. There are different varieties of apples, and we have covered 10 of them. First being Red Delicious, which is a popular eating apple, crispy, juicy, sweet flavored, fast-growing apple tree, and it has a thick skin. Second is Macintosh, whose fruit has red and green skin, quickly produces apple, easy to grow, with a soft skin and tender white flesh. It strikes a level balance between sweet and acidic. Third is Golden or Yellow Delicious. It is considered as an all-purpose apple. It is mild and sweet, flesh is juicy, but taste-wise it isn't all that different from the Red Delicious. It grows almost anywhere. Fourth is Gala. It is native to New Zealand and it's a cross between a kid's orange red apple and a golden delicious apple. It has a long storage life, fast-growing apple tree with pinkish orange stripes over a golden base. Fifth is Granny Smith. This bright green apple boasts white, firm, juicy flesh that is sweet and tart at the same time. It is also a fast-growing apple tree, delicious fruit and great for snacking. Sixth is Fuji, which is dense, crisp, generally regarded as sweeter of all varieties. It ripens quickly, grown in many climates, and is also a fast-growing apple tree. Seventh is Grayburn. The thin-skinned Grayburn boasts textbook apple flavor and balances sweet and tart along with faint notes of nutmeg and cinnamon. Eighth being Pink Lady, a cross between Golden Delicious and Lady Williams. Pink Lady is firm and crunchy with tart flavor that finishes sweet, great for hot climates and great for pies. Ninth is Honeycrisp. It's a large apple with its streaks of red and green, has a juicy crisp flesh, good for eating raw, sweetest apple and stores for months. 10th and the last is Empire, which is red or green skinned. This juicy apple with a tart flavor and creamy flesh is a cross between Red Delicious and Macintosh. Talking about the description, the apple is a deciduous tree, generally standing 2 to 4.5 meter tall in cultivation and up to 9 meter in the wild. When cultivated, the size, shape, and branch density are determined by rootstock selection and trimming methods. Blossoms are produced in spring simultaneously with the budding of leaves. 3 to 4 centimeter flowers are white with a pink tinge that gradually fades. Central flower of the inflorescence is called king bloom. It opens first and can develop a larger fruit. Fruit matures in late summer or autumn. The cultivars exist in wide range of sizes, but commercial growers aim to produce an apple that is 7 to 8.5 centimeter in diameter due to market preferences. The skin of ripe apples is generally red, yellow, green, pink, though many bi- or tricolored cultivars may be found. Skin may also be wholly or partially rusted, that is rough and brown. The skin is covered in a protective layer of epicuticular wax. Planting of apple trees. Apple trees should be planted when dormant from late fall until early spring. Planting is usually done in the month of January and February. Pits measuring 60 centimeters are dug 2 weeks before planting, and the pits are filled with good loamy soil and organic matter. Best time to plant apple tree is in the spring, like all other fruit trees. Main consideration in planting trees is planting of sufficient pollinators to ensure effective pollination. Usually one pollinator tree is needed for 2 or 3 large trees planted at 10-meter distance or one row pollinator for 2 rows of main cultivar. For high density planting, pollinator tree is planted after every sixth tree in a row. Most widely used planting system is the square system. In this system, pollinators are planted after every sixth or ninth tree. The other popular system of planting is rectangular system. In hilly areas, apple orchards are established by planting trees on the contours so as to prevent soil erosion and reduce runoff. Average number of plants in an area of 1 hectare can range between 200 to 1250. Apple trees are particularly sensitive to low soil moisture. Water stress during growing season reduces the number and the size of fruits and increases June drop. Most critical period of water requirement are April-August, and peak water requirement is after fruit set. Normally, the orchards are irrigated immediately after manuring in the month of December-January. During the summer periods, crop is irrigated at an interval of 7 to 10 days. After the fruit setting stage, crop is irrigated at weekly intervals. In winter, irrigation is given at an interval of 3 to 4 weeks. At least 8 irrigations are to be provided during critical periods. Talking about the pruning and thinning, we all know pruning is one of the most important practice which promotes plant vigor and productivity. Pruning is done with a view to divert the sap flow towards fruiting branches and to force plants to bear more fruits. During pruning, weak growing and diseased branches are removed from the tree. Usually trees are pruned every year in the month of December to January. Thinning is one of the major techniques employed to regulate fruit quality. In apples, heavy bearing not only results in small-sized poor-quality fruits, but it also sets in alternate bearing cycle. Judicious thinning, done at the proper stage of fruit development, can regulate cropping and improve fruit size and quality. Since manual thinning is cumbersome and expensive, chemical thinning is employed. Chemical thinners should not be applied in a very hot and dry conditions as it adversely affects the absorption. Sometimes chemical thinning follow calcium deficiency, therefore adequate calcium nutrition should be supplemented after thinning. Manuring and fertilization. We all know manuring and fertilization are very important for any crop to grow. Farmyard manure at 10 kg per year age of tree is applied along with other fertilizers. The fertilizer dose depends upon the fertility of the soil and amount of organic manure applied to the crop. Generally, application of 350 gram nitrogen, 175 gram P2O5 and 350 gram K2O per plant per year in split doses is recommended for fully grown bearing trees. On some trees, deficiency of zinc, boron, manganese and calcium may be observed, which is corrected with the application of appropriate chemicals through foliage spray. Talking about the propagation, it is done mainly by 3 methods. First is grafting. Apples are propagated by several methods: whip, tongue, cleft, and root grafting. Tongue and cleft grafting at 10 to 15 centimeters above collar during February to March give best results. Usually grafting is done at the end of winter. Second, budding. Apples are mostly propagated by shield budding, which gives a high percentage of success. Budding is done when buds are fully formed during summer. Optimum time of budding is September in Kashmir Valley, hills of Uttaranchal, high hills of Himachal Pradesh, and June in mid hills of Himachal Pradesh. Third, rootstocks. Most of the apple plants are grafted or budded on seedling of wild crab apples. Seedling rootstock obtained from the seeds of diploid cultivars like Golden Delicious, Yellow Newton, Wealthy, and Granny Smith can also be used. High-density planting is done using dwarfing rootstocks. Maturation and harvest. Depending on the tree density, that is the number of trees planted per unit surface area, mature trees typically bear 40 to 200 kg of apples each year, though productivity can be close to zero in poor years. Trees grafted on dwarfing rootstock bear about 10 to 80 kg of fruit per year. Normally apples are ready for harvest from September to October except in the Nilgiris where the season is from April to July. Fruits mature within 130 to 150 days after full bloom stage depending on the variety grown. Ripening of fruits is associated with the change in color, texture, quality, and the development of the characteristic flavor. Fruits at the time of harvest should be uniform, firm, and crisp. The color of the skin at maturity ranges from yellow-red depending on the variety. Due to the introduction of dwarf rootstock, hand picking is recommended as it reduces bruising due to fruit fall during mechanical harvesting. Now the storage of apples. Commercially, apples can be stored for some months in controlled atmosphere chambers to delay ethylene-induced ripening. Apples are commonly stored in chambers with high concentration of CO2 and high air filtration. This prevents ethylene concentrations from rising to higher amounts and preventing ripening from occurring too quickly. For home storage, most cultivars of apple can be held for approximately 2 weeks when kept at the coolest part of the refrigerator, probably below 5 degrees Celsius. Some can be stored up to a year without significant degradation. Some varieties of apples, for example Granny Smith and Fuji, have more than 3 times the storage life of others. Non-organic apples may be sprayed with 1-methylcyclopropene blocking the apple's ethylene receptors, temporarily preventing them from ripening. Pests and diseases. Apple trees are susceptible to a number of fungal and bacterial diseases and insect pests. A wide range of pests and diseases can affect the plant. Three of the more common diseases or pests are mildew, aphids, and apple scab. Mildew is characterized by light gray powdery patches appearing on the leaves, shoots, and flowers, normally in the spring. Flowers turn a creamy yellow color and do not develop correctly. This can be treated similarly to botrytis, eliminating conditions that cause disease, and burning infected plants are among recommended actions. Aphids are small insects. 5 species of aphids commonly attack apples: apple grain aphid, rosy apple aphid, apple aphid, spirea aphid, and the woolly apple aphid. Aphids feed on foliage using needle-like mouthparts to suck out the plant juices. When present in high numbers, certain species reduce tree growth and vigor. Apple scab. It causes leaves to develop olive-brown spots with a velvety texture that later turn brown and become cork-like in texture. The disease also affects the fruit, which also develops similar brown spots with velvety textures. Apple scab is spread through fungus growing in old apple leaves in the ground and spreads during warm spring weathers to infect new earth growth. Yield and nutrition of apple. Apple trees start bearing from 4 years onwards. Depending on the variety and season, a well-managed apple orchard yields on an average 10 to 20 kg per tree per year. A raw apple is 86% water, 14% carbs, with negligible content of fat and protein. So this was all about the production technology of Apple. Thank you so much for watching the video.